Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Sorry for another month of not making any more content here on this channel. So there's actually a very good reason why this time. It's not just because of my job. It is because actually recently, earlier in June this year, I got extremely sick. I had literally a horrible sinus infection plus horrible congestion and just probably one of the worst coughing fits I've had in years since I was a child. So that is why I have not really had any time to make any more content, because literally, like, right after that video of the whole Brian Cohey case, right after that video, I got extremely sick. So that's why that you haven't really heard anything from me. In fact, I made a community post on that when I first really started getting better. So I'm feeling way better now. I don't have any congestion problems anymore. I cough way normally. And if I do cough, it's just for occasional reasons. It's not common. So, and my throat doesn't hurt anymore too. So I'm feeling way better. But what I'm here to talk about is actually somebody I haven't talked about in a while, for months now, and that is Animat. I actually had somebody posted this comment on my DeviantArt page right here. If you go to my DeviantArt page and scroll down to the comments area, this is what I got that somebody responded to. The more information about Animat's response about Cuties. So yeah, if you don't know the whole situation about that, I'm gonna leave my second video about Animat's response to that, speculation on that down in the description below, and even on the annotation up here. So yeah, the very first impression when we first heard about that is, wow, you're literally defending the movie. But now we kind of changed things up, and now he's saying he's not defending the movie, which I'm still speculating on that, but I'm gonna show you these screenshots here in a minute. When you go from kind of defending the movie Cuties that was back in 2020 to all of a sudden saying I never supported that movie, I don't know. It's giving me mixed emotions right there, making me wonder if you really mean that because you actually mean it, or you're actually saying it because you got fucking caught. So the first screenshots right here is just basically somebody right here just posting about Animat's hypocrisy, but that's not the main reason, believe it or not. The main reason why we're here is basically just to hear Animat's response from back in 2021 that somebody actually emailed him. Actually, the email here was that somebody actually did wanted Animat to review Cuties a long time ago. Animat basically just said that he wasn't going to. So I'm going to get into that situation there as well. The reason why we know about this now is actually from a DeviantArt post that somebody made their own essay on their channel, Evan, on DeviantArt. So I'm going to leave that particular post down in the description below of what that whole situation was, but we're going to get into these main screenshots here of this email of what Animat's response was. So I'm going to read it up to you and you tell me what you think.
Hey Joseph, thank you so much for making the big $100 a month pledge. However, considering that I put in a stricter rule regarding reviewing non-animated projects or something that doesn't necessarily pique my interest unless you can convince me how, this movie is perfect for me and my channel to review. Also, the controversy with Cuties has passed, and it's mostly a misunderstanding due to horrible marketing on Netflix's side. Just curious, have you seen this movie yourself? Anyways, if things don't work out with the Cuties idea, you are free to make a different request to take its place.
I don't need to go watch 11-year-old girls twerk their asses blow into condoms, zooming on their crotches, exposing the bare breasts of a minor, and even a scene where they eat gummy bears like it's a porn movie. I even had the fucking misfortune of seeing the nasty images of the final dance scene. It was not a marketing mistake. Netflix lied. Cuties is literal softcore child porn. Netflix even got an indictment from the state of Texas. And before you say it, they saw the whole movie before editing them. Animat, if you still defend that movie, then you are sick and evil. Animat, if you still defend Cuties or the director, then you are enabling pedophiles.
So I'm guessing you have not seen the movie. Let me clarify that I completely oppose child exploitation of any kind. However, if you truly do feel this emotionally strong about it, yet you haven't actually seen it, then I strongly recommend you watch it yourself before requesting this to me because of the controversy from last year. Again, I don't see a strong reason why I must review this when I must have already moved on from the controversy. Is there anything else you'd like me to review?
The entire email is actually on Animat's thread that the DeviantArt post put a link to. I'm going to also put a link to that thread as well if you want to look throughout the entire emails. And this one really threw me off because really, you don't have to see Cuties to be disgusted about it. I think it's pretty obvious that even if you have seen it, you should still be just as disgusted as much as anybody else. The only people that actually like this movie are, well, basically pedophiles, in my opinion. But then when I looked through that thread on Twitter, this really threw me off, basically, when I read this from the screenshot that Animat provided us, and I actually highlighted this, so if you want to read through part of it here on this screenshot, I'm going to show it to you, but this is what he said that I highlighted.
Again, I don't see a strong reason why I must review this when most have already moved on from the controversy. Yes, I get that I commented about this last year in my podcast regarding the controversy, but that was it, and that was back during the heat of the moment.
Okay, listen, I mean, there have been times where even I might have said things at the heat of the moment on Twitter and all that, but here's the thing about that. The reason why people have a problem with this Animat, and maybe why people think you should review it, is because despite you saying at the heat of the moment, it is one of those controversies that, despite dying down nowadays, it's still a very controversial movie that most people oppose of. And the fact that you commented the way you did last time, saying it was some sort of conspiracy theory about it, dude, read the room here. I'll admit, the person who requested you to review this movie, yes, they were extremely rude. I will give you that when looking through the thread on your Twitter posts there. But that is not an excuse to say I'm not going to review it when the controversy died down. Listen, people still remember World War II. People still remember 9/11. That doesn't mean that people talking about it has still died down. I mean, people are still talking about it. Okay, granted, I'm comparing like a war and a tragedy as examples, but you get what I mean. Like, just because the controversy died down like a few years ago, does that mean that people still aren't disgusted by it? That's what people are upset about, Animat. And this kind of pretty much just proves how much of a hypocrite, because here you are complaining about Donald Trump and all these other political stuff that is even slightly conservative, but yet when it's something like, you know, that you think is a conspiracy and that something has died down even though people are still angry about it, I'm sorry, that just shows your hypocrisy right there. And I've said it on both videos about you were a major hypocrite, and it pretty much just proves that people were right about you. Granted, I'm not going to go, like I said, I'm not going to go as far as saying that Animat is a pedophile. or he is a rape apologist or anything like that. But what I am suggesting is that he should really do a much more deep dive and research and re-educating himself on how basically sexual harassment and basically grooming and all that works. Because maybe this is how I'm seeing this, but he really should pinpoint and really look on what's also wrong with Hollywood as well. Even though you did say that you were against child exploitation, it still comes off as you just pretty much kind of defending it, even if you haven't seen it. You get my point? Now, the last thing I want to actually go through is actually somebody who commented on this as well. This is also cited on the DeviantArt post I left down below. And this person who used to have a Twitter account, but this is what they said earlier before.
To avoid any misunderstandings, just go to my Instagram account where I go into detail on the exchange between me and him. Guys, this is not a hate campaign. We need to run Animat out of the cartoon community like what they did to Cosmodor. My Instagram is called...
this is the Instagram, but I mean, listen, I'm mixed on this particular post here. For one, unlike Cosmodor, I will give Animat this. He doesn't have any, victims he's groomed or anything, as far as we know. But if it does come out about that, I might make a future video about that. But as far as we know, no, we don't have... So, as much as I really can't stand Animat anymore, I'm not, like I said before, I'm not going to go as far as calling him a pedophile or somebody who grooms people, like I said. At the same time, I mean, I'm not one for cancel culture or anything. As far as, running Animat out of the cartoon community, I wouldn't say run him out, but definitely calling him out is the more appropriate thing to do. And of course, this JoJo user right here, basically after that said this.
Massive update! I thoroughly reread the chat between Animat, and then I realized that when he stated he was against child exploitation, he was also talking about Cuties. Guys, I am sorry for this awful misunderstanding on my part. Animat hates Cuties just like we all do.
Like I said before, so at least they did admit they were pretty much wrong for, basically accusing him of being like Cosmodor and all of that before. But then again, like I said, this person's account on their Twitter and more than likely their Instagram doesn't exist. They probably just deleted it. So I'm not going to speculate on that too much. So I'm basically just going to quote off what Channel Evan said on their post by my conclusion here. So I'm going to read that because this is basically what I think as well throughout the entire situation. Now, the way Matt went about it fell into the same pond as other defenders of the film, going on about how critics didn't watch the actual film. That's their only go-to, but more sensible people would at least see the intention of the film than criticize it for its terrible execution. In terms of watching it, it paints an odd picture. Is Sid Alpha a pedophile because he watched the entire movie for his review? No. If you watch the film and are repulsed at any point, I think some slack can be cut in that regard. On one hand, it's good to put out a flame before it causes a fire. Too many people only look at after the damage was done. On the other hand, the one guy pushing the campaign is fucking dumbass. He's basically doing some glorified virtue signaling and gaslighting, 50% of which is dedicated to getting Matt offline. But don't take my word for it. So that's basically what it is. As much as I cannot stand Animat anymore, like I said, I'm not going to go as far as saying that he is a pedophile, like I said before, and basically he does not defend Cuties, so he's basically taking back. But I'm wondering if he's just taking it back because he just got called out about it. I think it's a little bit of that as well, too. But what do you guys think? If you guys like my content, and if you want to see more of my content and my videos, hit the subscribe button. And if you want to go any of my social medias down below, I have my link tree down below as well. That's where you're also going to see my art shops as well. It's where I also have my Patreon as well as in that link tree. Link down below as well too. So if you want to support me there, go right ahead. Anyways, guys, thank you all for watching, and take care of yourself, and hopefully you didn't get as sick as I did, so take care.